Happening now, the message from local health leaders as they start ramping up COVID-19 enforcement rules. Plus, we hear from Jamestown City Council about a proposal that impacts health care coverage of retirees.
Well, the snow has stopped for today, but we've got a lot of clouds around, but we've got some rain in the forecast for Thanksgiving. I will give you all the details next. The news at noon starts right now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. The Chautauqua County Board of Health is ramping up enforcement of COVID-19 rules. The group says social gatherings are driving up case numbers in the county and contributing to community spread of the virus. The board is now ramping up efforts to crack down on people who host or promote social events. Offenders could face a fine of up to $15,000. Businesses are also being put on notice. They'll be fined up to $2,000 a day if they aren't in line with the state's rules. Well, New York's governor has some harsh words for sheriffs who don't enforce his Thanksgiving gathering mandate. This as sheriffs in the Empire State are pushing back against the order. Governor Andrew Cuomo this month issued an executive order limiting gatherings to 10 people. Yesterday, the New York State Sheriff's Association in a statement said that the governor's mandate is impossible to carry out. Cuomo says if law enforcement officers do not enforce the law, they're violating their constitutional duty.
You don't have the right to pick laws that you think you will enforce, and you don't enforce laws that you don't agree with, right? That's not a law enforcement officer. That's a dictator. So you're not a law enforcement officer.
The Sheriff's Association says it's ironic that Cuomo would call a sheriff a dictator. Well, testing, vaccines, holiday celebrations, a lot of new developments around coronavirus and its spread have been coming out in the last few weeks. Reed Binion speaks with medical professionals about what a vaccine rollout will likely look like as we still wait as to whether one will be released or not.
Lots of excitement, anticipation, and questions surrounding the news that at least 2 and maybe 3 coronavirus vaccines could soon be on their way. One question people have is, will the coronavirus vaccine recommendations be similar to the flu vaccine? Should you get it if you aren't feeling well or wait? Dr. Sanjay Gupta explains.
The reason you typically are told not to get the flu vaccine if you're not feeling well is because the way that these vaccines work is that they sort of rev up your immune system. If your immune system's already busy fighting something else, then it may not respond as well, or you may just not feel as well. If you're asymptomatic, you should go ahead and feel comfortable getting the vaccine when it's your turn.
And what about the storage requirements of one of those vaccines? How will we know it's been kept at the proper low temperature until the point of injection?
What Pfizer's doing is that they're creating their own cold storage boxes. There's going to be these boxes that you see. They're going to hold, thousands of doses of the vaccine, and that's what's going to be used to transport. But within those boxes is also going to be these sensors that tell you, has the temperature been consistent? Has it had any drops? And make sure that the vaccines, at least from that standpoint, have not had any problems.
Dr. Gupta reminds us that with this worldwide vaccination effort, there will be a lot of steps and checks along the way. For today's Health Minute, I'm Reed Binion.
Reed, thank you. It looks like the Food and Drug Administration is getting closer to approving 2 COVID-19 vaccines. The agency plans to meet next month to discuss a vaccine developed by Moderna. Both that vaccine maker and Pfizer claim their vaccine candidates are 95% effective. Well, the majority of Jamestown City Council agrees that a proposal changing retiree benefits should not be included in the 2021 budget. The lawmaking body held a special budget meeting last night via Zoom to finalize next year's spending plan. Last week, city employees, past and present, rallied in support of retiree benefits that Jamestown's mayor is trying to restructure part of that budget. The mayor's proposal would move eligible retirees off the city's self-insured plan to a fully insured plan with United Healthcare. The mayor says the retirees 65 and up would keep the same medical, vision, and dental coverage with some additional coverage the city doesn't offer. The change would likely save the city more than $1 million in the upcoming budget. Councilwoman at Large and Finance Committee Chairwoman Kim Eklund says the change should not be included in the budget vote.
It is very unfortunate to me that it was placed in the budget without going through the proper management of how to do this. I've made my thoughts very clear publicly and privately. While I don't want to say that we shouldn't look into these cost-saving measures and shouldn't investigate things and shouldn't do a correct form of an RFP and get health insurance looked at for lower costs, cramming it down and voiding union contracts is not the way to do it. I feel this 1.1 million or 1 million that's in there is going to end up in court, and we're going to end up paying it, and we're also going to have legal fees on the backs of the taxpayers. So the 1 million is unattainable to me.
The council is scheduled to vote on the mayor's budget next Monday. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now as we gear towards this upcoming Thanksgiving holiday in just a matter of days. Good to see Tommy, Chris, Dan, and Kirk. Hopefully everyone is having a great Tuesday out there. Got to say hello to David, Carrie, Sandy, Butch, Stephanie, Joseph, Pat, Lisa, and Charlie as well. Good afternoon to all of you. We appreciate you tuning in for a check of local news and weather that matters to you. Let's now switch over to weather and get a check of that forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Dakota, a lot of people looking forward to Thanksgiving. Some maybe took the whole week off and are chilling at home today. But certainly it is a lot cooler out there and feeling more like the Thanksgiving fall holiday.
Yes, it does. And I mean, you know, it's a shorter week for us here because tomorrow is going to be our last day this week, but it's not our last day forever. It's just our last day for this week. And of course, we'll be back streaming on Monday of next week. But yeah, so we've got a nice little vacation coming up. We got to thank corporate for that. 38 degrees right now in Salamanca, 34 degrees, I'm sorry, right now in Salamanca. We got a lot of clouds around, and this is basically going to be the story throughout the day today. But hey, I saw this on my way coming in this morning. They're putting the Christmas lights already on the city Christmas tree at Tracy Plaza. And so 'tis the season. Sleigh bells ring. Are you listening? Hunter's WX on Twitter and the First Defense weather page on Facebook. If only you could hear what I hear in my ear right now.
You're actually pretty good.
No,
he's actually pretty good.
No. My singing sounds like two cats being mauled by a dog. Okay, it's just not good. First Defense Doppler radar shows you clear scans, and it's going to remain that way throughout the rest of the day. 35 was the high yesterday. 29 is where he bottomed out this morning. 68 and 3 record highs and lows at the airport for this day. Just in early flurry, lots of clouds, chilly, a couple peaks of sun this afternoon. 35 to 43 with a light and variable wind. I will have the Thanksgiving forecast coming up along with the 42 degrees and sunny 7-day forecast in just a few. Justin, if you've contained yourself, we'll throw it back to you.
All right, Dakota, I love it. Thank you. Whew. Well, nearly 3 weeks since Election Day, leaders of New York State Senate Democrats have declared that they've reached a veto-proof supermajority. State Capitol correspondent Karina Campabianca explains what that means for Governor Cuomo's powers.
I'm announcing that in 2021, we will begin our session with a historic supermajority.
Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins says in 2019, Democrats held 39 seats. This year, they've held 40, and beginning next year, they will hold at least 42 of the 63 seats.
This was a mandate by the voters, a mandate for Leader Stewart-Cousins to continue taking us in the direction we're going, and a mandate to keep doing things for the people of this state that they want done, they expect done, and they have been waiting for decades to get done.
This year, several Senate Republicans retired, leaving some races with no incumbent. The day after Election Day, Senate Minority Leader Rob Ort believed Republicans would win at least 27 seats. At that point, absentee ballots had yet to begin being counted. In a response to today's news, he said in part, if New Yorkers thought one-party control was bad, more Democrats in the New York State Senate will usher in a new era of radical, increasingly socialist policies unlike anything before seen in this state. During a press briefing, the governor was asked how the veto-proof majority would change the balance of power. He says he doesn't think there's been a situation where he disagreed with every Senate Democrat.
The way the state government really works is through the budget. All the main things are done in the budget. And supermajority or not, it doesn't really make a difference.
I think that this is a little bit much ado about nothing. We fought to elect these candidates.
The Senate supermajority also gives Democrats the edge when it comes to redistricting. Assembly Democrats already have a supermajority in their chamber. In Albany, Karina Capabianca.
Karina, thank you. Also at the Capitol, New York lawmakers and education advocates announced the eLearn Act yesterday, which would provide free, high-quality broadband to every student in school in New York State during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, this bill hopes to address the digital divide that was already a problem for low-income and minority students, as well as districts throughout the state. All students ages 5 to 21 in public, private, or charter schools, as well as those who are homeschooled, are eligible for the program. Well, straight ahead here, we tell you what well-known local business is closing their doors after more than 40 years of operation. And later on, when students will return to in-person learning at Jamestown High School. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer, plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you.
I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor. I'm a survivor.
Testicular cancer is the leading form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35.
1 in 250 men will be diagnosed with testicular cancer.
But 98% will survive if detected early.
As a survivor, I believe early detection is the key. Learn how to do a testicular self-exam and other important facts about testicular cancer at oneball4tc.com.
Want weather now? Download the WNY News Now mobile app and stay up to date on severe weather alerts. Plus, anytime hazardous weather strikes, stick with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network that keeps you safe. You're all in a tornado warning, so now is the time to go to a safe place, small room, lowest floor, near the center, away from windows. What are you waiting for? Download the WNY News Now mobile app today. It's free in the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. A Little Valley man was arrested and charged by the U.S. Attorney's Office with production of child pornography and cyberstalking yesterday. Prosecutors say last fall, 19-year-old Dylan Barber allegedly started speaking with an underage girl via Snapchat, posing as a hacker who gained control of her account. Barber allegedly threatened to publicly release her info if she did not send him sexually explicit images of herself. Prosecutors say the girl fell to his demands and sent those images as requested. The charges carry a minimum penalty of 15 years behind bars, a maximum of 30, and a $250,000 fine. A West Ellicott business announced yesterday that after 42 years of serving the winter sports and biking community of Western and New York and Pennsylvania, they'll be closing their doors on New Year's Eve. The announcement, posted on Holly Loft Ski and Bike's Facebook page, says that Les and Cheryl Johnson are retiring from the business. The two will be winding down operations at the shop over the next few weeks, and they'll sell down their inventory before eventually closing at 4 o'clock on Christmas Eve. Now, this isn't necessarily a goodbye, as the business plans to ride out the rest of the pandemic and actively plan for a new beginning. Now, for the time being, the duo are asking the community to share their favorite memories of the business on their Facebook page. A top government agency tells President-elect Joe Biden that the Trump administration is now ready to start the official transition process. This, as John Lawrence reports, more states are done counting ballots and clarifying election results nearly a month following Election Day.
A new era is about to begin in Washington, D.C.
Joe Biden is the president-elect. He will be the president of the United States.
On Monday afternoon, Biden received a letter from the General Services Administration formally confirming his victory, a process known as ascertainment.
I think the headline Biden team is looking for is make government work again.
The GSA's letter came after Michigan formally certified its election results. President Donald Trump tweeting afterward that he supported starting transition protocols, but hours later he tweeted that he will never concede to fake ballots.
The election was stolen is not the identity, the principal philosophy, the underlying identity of the Republican Party. No, I mean, it can't be.
Biden, who was declared winner of the 2020 election more than 2 weeks ago, has already named several cabinet nominees.
These are no-nonsense people who are not out with their own political agendas.
The Biden team will now have access to more office space and federal resources to help ease the transition.
At the end of the day, there's 100 federal agencies, close to 4 million federal employees, and a lot of policy and determination to understand and to take hold of before January 20th. And we want the presidential team to be prepared on day one. We don't want them playing catch up. And unfortunately, they've lost about 20 days at this point.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
John, thank you. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has notified West Wing staff of the formal transition to a new administration. Georgia is counting its ballots for a third time today. After a hand count last week, Biden was certified as the state's winner, and legal experts don't expect that will change. Well, back here at home, Jamestown High School will soon be transitioning back to in-person instruction. Subject to guidance from the state and local leaders, the district plans to reopen the building in 2 weeks on Monday, December 7th. Students will be attending in 2 cohorts, with the red cohort attending class in person on Monday morning and the green on Tuesday morning. Now, both groups will continue virtual learning until the week of December 14th, when the red cohort will attend in the mornings on Monday and Wednesday, while the green will attend on Tuesday and Thursday. All afternoons and Fridays will continue as scheduled for remote learning for all 10th through 12th graders. 9th graders will continue their normal weekly schedule. Officials say students who chose full-time distance learning back in September will be okay to continue learning at home. Well, we thank you for joining us for WNY News Now as we get a check of all headlines from across the area. Let's check in with the comments and see what everyone is saying today. Great to see Anna, good to see Shelly, Ashley, Keith, Brenda, and Tony. Hopefully you are doing well. We appreciate you tuning in. Now let's get a check of our full First Defense weather forecast. Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter joins us live from the First Defense Weather Center. And Dakota, a lot of people are looking forward to Thanksgiving. I think it's almost one of those things, especially around this time of year. It's almost like anxious isn't the word for it, but everyone's on the edge of their seat, waiting to see what will happen. And really, at this point, kind of waiting for the holiday.
Yep, and I mean, Thanksgiving obviously is the beginning of the holiday season, and we all want to sit around the table with our immediate family and have some nice turkey and stuffing. But hey, speaking of some weather here, we did some calculations this morning about rainfall. So this is not how much rain we've gauged. This is our rainfall deficit, how we are running below rainfall here. So since September 1st, we are running 3.1 inches below normal rainfall. And since January 1st, at the beginning of the year, the yearly rainfall total only 1.64 inches below normal. So yeah, there's a lot of math involved in meteorology. So that's why you have to be good at science and math if you want to work in meteorology. There's a tip for any students out there who might be considering a career in. Yes, give us a call in the First Defense Weather Center. Yes, 488-7226, extension, whatever my extension number is in the weather office. I don't even know. 203, thank you very much. Extension 203, give me a call in the weather office. But anyway, yes, Justin. I mean, Justin's the only one who calls me. The producers, they're the only people who call, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Here we go with the temperatures throughout the month here. So all the days that are shaded in orange are days where we've had above average temperatures, and we've had a lot of days this month above average. And actually, we're running statistically 1 degree above the average temperature for the month. And honestly, this actually isn't, this is kind of expected because the last several Novembers have been rather chilly, and that's how weather and climate works. We generally have chilly and then it goes right into warm weather here. So the Thanksgiving Day forecast, we updated this slightly here. 48 around 8 o'clock. It looks like on Thursday morning will be our best chance for rain. By the time we go to noon, 52. And by the time we go into dinner time, yeah, we could see some peaks of sunshine. We're not ruling it out, but the rain will end. And even though it still should be mostly cloudy, we think we should see some cloud breaks later in the afternoon towards sunset. 34 is a noon hour right now. No wind to speak of, not an issue. And we obviously don't have a wind chill index, obviously, when there's no wind. And if you missed it yesterday, Holiday Valley has announced this Friday, the 27th, they will be opening for the ski and snowboarding season. Now, obviously, none of the other ski resorts around the area have announced opening dates yet, but keep an eye on this because we will obviously keep you updated when the area resorts do issue their opening date statement. So let's take you through a future scan here. Nothing through the day. Now, tonight should be mainly dry, but as we get into the evening hours, there'll be a chance for a wet snow flurry or a shower. A wet rain shower, especially near the Lake Erie shoreline. Temperatures actually rise overnight as a warm front pushes in, and then rain will actually start to increase from the morning hours tomorrow into the afternoon. So the afternoon tomorrow is going to be the wetter part of the day. The morning actually should be mainly dry, but yeah, tomorrow will likely be a washout in the afternoon with a lot of rain showers. This is what's going to be coming our way tomorrow. This storm system right here over Texas, this thing is living in the fast lane, and this thing is going to be going right up the northeast and impacting our area here. But as we swing into the western New York area, we don't see a whole lot, just a lot of cloud cover, and that's really going to be the story. But it's still going to remain chilly, but early signs indicate we're actually going to warm up again by the end of the month, and maybe by the early December, we might get some fun. We'll see. 37 degrees this afternoon, likely 34 Ellicottville. The cooler spots will always stay the cooler spots will always stay cooler for the afternoon. The next 7 days coming up, brought to you by 42 degrees and sunny. 48 tomorrow. The wind picks up, the rain picks up, throughout the afternoon. Thanksgiving, not so bad, 53. 50 on Friday as we gobble up those leftovers, and the weekend decent in the mid to upper 40s. And by the time we head into early next week, a few rain and snow showers will be possible. Temperatures going back down into the lower 40s. We will take a break and be right back. First Defense Weather is sponsored by 42 Degrees and Sunny, smokin' deals on smoking accessories. Learn more at 42degreesandsunny.com. That's 42degreesandsunny.com.
You're watching WNY News Now, your source for breaking news.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Not tomorrow, but right now on the WNY News Now mobile app. Follow local news as it happens.
The mother of a special education student at Maple Grove High School is speaking out.
And stay informed with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network.
And Lake Erie is covered in less than 1% of ice as this winter season has entered its peak.
Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over.
Move over.
When you see signs,
Lights.
Vests.
please give us some room.
Slow down.
Slow down and move over. When you need help,
It's our job
To help you.
to save you.
despite the danger.
This danger.
This danger is real.
Do your part.
Please.
Slow down. Slow down. And move over.
Move over.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
Welcome back to WNY News Now. Finally here today, I'll take Jeopardy interim host for 1,000, Alex. Well, the answer is Ken Jennings. The long-running quiz show announced yesterday it will continue on with a string of guest hosts after the death of beloved host Alex Trebek. Jennings will be the first one. He is well known to Jeopardy fans as the man who has won the most consecutive games, 74 to be exact. Viewers have been wondering who will take over for Trebek, who has hosted the show since 1984. Now, he was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer in 2019 and died earlier this month at 80 years old. Jeopardy's producers have not yet announced what guest hosts will follow Jennings, how many there will be, or who will become Trebek's permanent replacement. Episodes hosted by Jennings will begin taping at the end of this month and air sometime in January. Certainly, we miss Trebek so much, and it's kind of interesting in the fact that if you're a Jeopardy fan, you still see him every night on television because the way that they filmed it is his most recent shows are still on the air now. So it's one thing I think which is amazing about this medium is that you will live on beyond anything, and I think that is so interesting. And we wish his family well, and I think at this point the Jeopardy community will always remember the time of Trebek, and hopefully they can find a new host who is able to fill that role, not replace him, but to carry on their own version of the show. And Dakota, he's great at tech, he's great at weather, he's pretty good at vacuums too, and you're a big fan of game shows, Dakota. We've talked about before, you should host your own.
Yeah.
Are you going to throw your hat in for Jeopardy?
Well, you see, Jeopardy is one of my least favorite game shows. I've never been a fan of Jeopardy.
It is difficult. It really, the questions they ask, I think are so big.
I mean, I'll be lucky because it's like, sometimes I would watch it at 7:30 because obviously, it airs at 7:30. And sometimes I'd watch it because, there'd be nothing else on. So I'd watch it until 8 o'clock and find something else on. But, when I watch it, I'd be lucky if I get one question right. But it's like, the show has never been one of my personal favorites. Now, Alex Trebek has hosted other game shows, obviously, prior to Jeopardy. He hosted a show called Classic Concentration, which basically was a revival of the old Concentration that Jack Nars hosted in the 60s and 70s, and that aired sometime in the 80s when he hosted a bunch of other game shows as well. But the taping situation is very interesting because in the early days of television, prior to tape, it was aired live.
Right.
And then when they started taping the shows to give to local TV stations and whatnot, essentially there would never be reruns. Back in the early days, they would tape a show, air it, and then the tape was erased.
Right,
and then the tape was used
they
again.
physically needed it.
Yeah.
For the next taping.
Yeah. So basically, because obviously back in the 50s and 60s and 70s, people used to think, well, you saw a show once, why in the world would you want to see it again?
Right.
So the tapes were taken back, erased, and then just reused. So there's a lot of shows that are lost forever because that was standard practice back then. And then by the mid 70s, I think CBS was one of the first to stop wiping tapes. And then obviously, all the other networks followed. This was long before Fox. Fox didn't come around until the 90s. But, prior to the 70s, people didn't realize there was a market for reruns, for money, and for people who would actually watch shows again.
You'd be surprised. There's now channels dedicated just to that. And streaming services, Netflix. How many times when you think of The Office, I know now they're moving to NBC's Peacock, but it's like that is something where people will just put on their TV just to have in the background. And it's so amazing. And I'm glad now that we can preserve the history with digital, which is the now and I think the future, where before it was such a challenge. And like our program, it records to disc is what it's called, and it's available immediately. we publish it on our site, but we could rerun the program we have in cases of technical issues. So it's pretty.
We can show you a show that we did from way back when.
Yeah, almost in an instant.
Actually, honestly, that would be frightening to look at a show that we did early on in the early days and to look at now. That'd be absolutely frightening.
Pretty cool transformation.
I don't think I'd want to see it.
And we appreciate every single one of you for tuning in, because we couldn't do it without you. Well, that's going to do it for today. Anyway, we'll leave you with a live look over Chautauqua Lake. We're back here tomorrow with a special about Small Business Saturday, which is coming up also soon. Friend of the show, Joanna Dahlbuck, joins us live to talk more about that tomorrow. See you then.